99 and 66 roll with complimentary plays here on the video report over the past 83 days after taking a split on Friday night, cashing in baseball with the Pirates on the run line, unexpectedly losing in a game that I thought I had locked up with BYU and UConn failing to stay under the total. More about that game in just a moment, plus the game I happened to attend last night between Memphis and South Florida, plus 3 free picks here for your Saturday card: Navy, Air Force, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and your game between NC State and Louisville. This being Saturday, you know the drill, guys. Each and every Saturday for the past 4 years, I've given you a money-saving discount coupon code that could potentially save you hundreds of dollars off your total purchase price. Nothing has changed today. It's Saturday, and here's the deal. You can save 22% off your total purchase price by using coupon code 22%. That's 22%, no space between the number or the word percent, 22%. Now, it's a mix and match coupon, which means it's good for any combination of any handicapper's picks and or packages here at the site. The only stipulation, it's a one-time usage coupon, which means you've got to put everything into your shopping cart at one time and then make your purchase. You can't come in and get Brad Wilton's monster play, I'll tell you about in just a second, and then 5 hours later come in and get somebody else's play. No, everything in your shopping cart at one time to maximize your savings. The great thing about this coupon, and the reason that I give it out to you every single Saturday for 4 straight years, is 80 to 85% of you guys here at the site that are customers, you're all involved in at least one long-term package. So this allows you to know that every Saturday you can count on that discount to re-up your package, to extend your package. Because remember, let's say you have 5 days left with a package with Brad Wilton and you want to get another 30-day package. Well, take 22% off the top using this coupon code. And if you have any instant rebates, they are applicable as well. As always, if you have any customer service questions, that's what they're there for. If you need any help using this coupon, please contact them using the links here at the site. Again, save 22% off your total purchase price by using coupon code 22%. Brad Wilton is the hottest handicapper here at the site. No ifs, ands, or buts. He has just had a phenomenal role, all with these major wager plays, what I call 100-dime plays or better, major wager releases. He's won them all. You've gotten them all for at least half price off. Well, as I've told you repeatedly, I've always believed that you don't have to spend big money to make big money in this thing we do and call gambling that we love so much. And I continue to prove it, because when I saw that he had the first ever 200-dime college football release of his career, and he joined this site right before the 2013 Super Bowl, the first one going today, and he's calling it a 3 TD blowout, well, you better bet your bottom dollar I was making that the half price play of the day. And that coupon code is going to be 200 dimes, 200 DIMES. Now, keep in mind, 200 dime plays had the first 2 ever in the NFL. Packers on Monday night over Kansas City. Baltimore buying down the half point, getting the cover in the overtime field goal win at Pittsburgh on Thursday. You got them both at half price. He went 3-0 over the past 2 weeks with 150 dime plays, including, I think, Ohio against Minnesota, a 10-point dog covering easily in a 3-point loss against the Golden Gophers last Saturday. You got them all at half price. Half price again from the guy who has made $10 bettors $11,950 the past 9 days alone, and over 23 grand over the past 2 months. Half price play of the day, first ever 200-dime college football release from Brad Wilton, 3-touchdown blowout. It goes on the early card. The coupon code again is 200 dimes, 200 DIMES. The other red hot handicapper here, Chris Jordan. Last Sunday, you may recall, had his first 2,000 star double your wager release. Seattle 26-0 over Chicago. Normally a 1,000 star play, like the one you got on Arizona on the run line, plus a $1.20 dog a couple of nights ago in baseball for only $19, saving $80 off the regular price. That is normally his top rated play. Today, 2,000 star double your wager winner again. The first one in college football this season, and more importantly, in all sports combined over the past couple of years, number 9 out of 12. It's his Big Ten game of the year. It's Northwestern and Minnesota. FYI, Brad Wilson's on a different game. This one goes, I think, at noon Eastern time. You save $60 by using coupon code CHRIS, C-H-R-I-S, his first name. Keep in mind, with 1,000 star plays or higher, going back to 2006, we're talking about a 9-year body of work. With those 1,000 star plays or higher, Chris Jordan has made $1 bettors over $94,000 with his highest rated releases. So check it out from Chris Jordan. As for me, After a miserable couple of weeks, I'm actually on a nice little roll here. I've got a big play tonight. I'm going for winning day number 7 out of 8. Last weekend, I hit both of my 15-dime plays, which are my normal top-rated plays, hit with UT because I bought the hook, no pun intended, with the horns, in the cover by a half point in their loss at home to Oklahoma State. And then I cashed with Seattle as well on Sunday. Followed that up with the 10-dimer. I bought the hook again with Baltimore on Thursday night. Tonight, 15-dime Saturday night bailout. I think it's the best game on the board. It's Arizona and Stanford at 10:30 Eastern Time start. Save $50 by using coupon code BAILOUT29, BAILOUT 29, which means you get it for $29. So anyway, all your other promos, discounts, blah, 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 over on the homepage. So I go to the Memphis game last night against South Florida. I happened to be in Tampa. I'm at Raymond James Stadium last night. I've been there before, and it's a nice place to watch a game. Matter of fact, I think the Glazers, who own the Buccaneers, they're thinking about putting up the $75 million of a potential $100 million needed to totally renovate the stadium, as they hope to get another Super Bowl here in a national title game, too, in college football. Anyway, go to see the game last night. Memphis falls down early. They come back. It looks good. Memphis is laying the points. Matt Rivers had a monster play, a blank check play on Memphis last night. South Florida does nothing offensively from about middle of the first quarter on for the rest of the game. Don't they get a touchdown with 1:49 to go to get the backdoor cover? Now, listen, I didn't have any money on the game, but when people ask me, well, what's your favorite play on the board? I'll often tell them it's the play that's the biggest one among all the handicappers on the site. Other than my own bet, it's the one that the guy has the big play here at the site. What a way to lose that game. And then how about the BYU-Connecticut game? At one point, you're looking at the third quarter. It's 10-10. It's a boring game. Now, BYU, up until about 11:50 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday morning, was a 17-point favorite. And then that line dropped dramatically, 14.5 to 15 points. Well, you see BYU came back and won that game thanks to a fourth quarter flurry of points. Final score in that contest here, remember, early 17-point favorite. After about noon Eastern Time, 14 to 14.5 point favorite. And what do? They win the game 30-13. So once again, it leads to that dilemma, and people always ask, well, how are games graded? And I think most of the rubes out there, some of you may think, I'm not speaking to you directly on the video report, but some of these guys that have written in over the years have said, oh, why don't you go ahead and grade games like other sites on the final line? Because nobody bets the damn game on the final line. Listen, you bet favorites early, you bet underdogs late. You follow that subscription 99% of the time, you're always going to do well. If you make sure you always have 2 different sportsbook options, whether you're playing here in Vegas or you're playing out in offshore, because you know some books, especially a couple of big offshore books, they always make you pay more for the favorites. Comes in handy when you want to bet the dog. You don't even have to buy the half point sometimes because you're getting that half point bonus for free, right? But bottom line is you never grade a game by the closing line. You have to look at when the game was released, when the majority of the people are betting that game, and then you make a fair analysis. It's not always a perfect call. But in yesterday's call, Anthony Red had a big play on BYU. Well, he had his play up and live by like 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time. It was 17 points. Going by my theory that you should go ahead and bet the favorite early, but I realize that most of the customers here at the site didn't come and get the play until well after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is the normal deadline for handicappers to have their plays up on weekdays. It's one of those dilemmas, so I called it a push. Worst case scenario, guys pushed. Best case scenario, I think the majority of the customers won the damn game. But a very strange game. I still don't know exactly why that line dropped so quickly and in such an abrupt fashion, but man, when you see the final score of that game last night, you go, what the hell happened? How did it end up that way? Okay, let's get to the complimentary plays here. Let me work them in reverse chronological order for you. Let's see. Of course, if I had looked at this beforehand and figured out which games were starting when, it would have made it a hell of a lot easier to give them to you in reverse chronological order. But let's start with the game in Annapolis between Navy and Air Force. Now, Navy last year lost in the contest 30-21. Their veteran starting quarterback, what's his name? Keenan Reynolds. He was injured that day, had 2 costly turnovers, a fumble, an interception in the end zone, really cost them the game. Matter of fact, he sat out the following week. So this is a revenge spot for Navy. It's an interesting game here today because you're looking at a number sitting at 6 points. You're looking at an area that's going to be drenched because of the rains from Hurricane Joaquin, etc., maybe some gusty winds as well. Well, you got 2 teams that are running the ball. You got the number 2 and the number 3 running attacks in all of college football today meeting in this game. You got a 6-point line for two teams that just don't pass the ball. I think Navy's averaging like 47 yards a game through the air, maybe Air Force 98 or 99. The Falcons have been idle since a 35-21 loss at Michigan State, a loss that gave them a lot of confidence because their offense managed to gain 428 yards against a very good veteran Spartans defense. That was 2 Saturdays ago. Their only other games, they beat up San Jose State and Morgan State at home. Meanwhile, Midshipmen off a 28-18 win at UConn, laying 7 points last Saturday. They also beat East Carolina 45-21 in their last home game. Falcons have covered 8 of their last 9. Interesting thing in this series is that in the last 12 meetings, there have been 8 outright upsets in the last 12 meetings, which is no surprise when I tell you then that the dog is on a 10-1-1 ATS roll in this particular series. So even though Air Force is 1-4 in its last 5 trips versus the odds makers when playing in Annapolis, I think in this situation, 2 ground-oriented attacks, low-scoring game, miserable weather conditions and field conditions, I've got to go ahead and grab the 6 points with Air Force in this particular spot. I think Navy wins it, but I think it's a 3 or 4 point game in either direction. Let's take a look at the game between NC State and Louisville. You know what the deal is with Louisville. 3 different starting quarterbacks here for Bobby Petrino's squad in this contest. Louisville has lost 3 games by a total of 13 points to Louisville, Auburn, Houston, and Clemson. All their losses by 13 points. Louisville lost to Auburn, Houston, and Clemson. I don't know what I was saying there just a second ago. Then they finally won 45-3 over Samford last week. NC State has covered 7 straight games. Hasn't played anybody. Revenge spot for the Wolfpack. They lost 30-18 in Louisville a year ago. They're off to a 4-0 start. I think in revenge, playing at home against a team that's struggling offensively, Wolfpack can put points on the board. I'm going to go with NC State in this particular game. Again, they've scored at over 35 points in all of their games. Of course, they played Troy, Eastern Kentucky, Old Dominion, and South Alabama. But this is their only home game in a 5-week stretch. So again, I'm going to go with NC State here in revenge. The other complimentary play, I think one of the more fascinating games on today's card, it's going to be Oklahoma at home, -7 against West Virginia. I know West Virginia is coming off the win against Maryland, okay? I also know it's West Virginia's road opener. I know that beating Georgia Southern and Liberty by a combined 85-17 really doesn't prep you for going to Norman, Oklahoma. I don't care about the big USA Today article yesterday about Maryland playing this aggressive 4-2-5 defense scheme, which, hasn't Rocky Long been doing that at New Mexico and San Diego State for 100 years? Suddenly it's like a brand new thing in the Big 12. This is how we're going to combat spread offenses that Oklahoma is going to run here. I don't buy into that fact that they're going to be able to stop Baker Mayfield and the Sooners in this game in Norman today. As for Oklahoma, listen, what can we say? I mean, they were damn lucky to win at Tennessee, okay? But they did win. They've had an extra week to prepare for this game. Last game they played was a 52-38 win at home against Tulsa. Yes, they gave up a hell of a lot of yards and a hell of a lot of points to the Golden Hurricane, but you can't deny they had 773 total yards in offense in that contest. Baker Mayfield, 572 total yards himself, and accounted for 6 touchdowns in the rout. Now, the defense did give up 603 yards, including 427 passing. I just don't think West Virginia's defense is for real because it hasn't been challenged. I don't think West Virginia has enough offense to hang with an Oklahoma team that can seemingly put points on the board. Remember, they also have that running back, Prine. God, I can't remember now. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about, who, of course, really made his splash last year. His first big game was against West Virginia when he went to Morgantown and ran for 242 yards and a 45-33 rout. Recorded by the Sooners, and the Sooners didn't have much quarterback play last year. Remember, they were such an inconsistent team. They had a veteran offensive line. They basically ran the ball all the time. Now, the offensive line had to replace 3 starters, but they're still running the ball effectively. But more important, they're a much more dynamic offensive team. So I think I would go ahead and lay the 7. I would buy down the half point if you're forced to lay 7 or 7.5, and I would back the Sooners in this game. I also tell you what, I think the Sooners are a very interesting team if you're looking for a 2-team teaser possibility as well, because because when I look at teasers, I like to take home teams that are laying anywhere between 6 and 10 points, and I go to myself, well, can they just win the damn game outright or by a field goal or more? Well, in this particular case, you've got Oklahoma at -7, and you're taking them down to -1 in a traditional two-team teaser. So, that's an interesting way to also look at the game as a teaser possibility. Now, since I just thought of this off the top of my head, I can't really tell you that I have another team that I would want to go ahead and instantly hook up with that teaser. In fact, as I'm telling you this, I'm quickly looking at our website and I'm looking at some of the other games on the board to see if anything pops out here. I mean, you could certainly take TCU down to 8 at home against Texas. I think both teams are going to give up plenty of points, but I think TCU is certainly going to score a hell of a lot more in that game. I never like to play with a two-team teaser when you've got a virtual pick'em game like Georgia and Alabama. So that's a game that I would stay away with. A lot of people would say, oh, take Texas Tech plus 24 or take Baylor down from 17 to 11 in that particular game. But it's in Arlington. These two teams have averaged a combined like 94 points in each of their last 4 meetings, and it's going to be a shootout, so that's a game I would stay away. California's just laying too many points already, 17.5, to go ahead and even consider them in a teaser. So to be honest with you, after scanning over the entire board here very quickly, I cannot find one other team that is just screaming out, bet me, bet me, bet me, where I would hook up Oklahoma in a teaser. But that doesn't mean you can't. And by the way, I have no opinion on Notre Dame Clemson. That's another one of those pick'em games where I think could go in either direction, and that's not a game that you really want to be teasing and playing with points anyway. So anyway, sorry I couldn't help you, but I do think Oklahoma is a hell of a teaser possibility because I just don't see them losing that game in Norman today. That'll do it, guys. Best of luck to you all, and I'll catch you again tomorrow when we do this one more time.